FIFA and Trump's sportswashing efforts. Dark side of the beautiful sport, consider this. In the summer of 2026, the United States will host the most watched sporting event on Earth. 32 nations, 48 cities. Billions of eyes trained on American stadiums, American flags, American spectacle, and presiding over all of it, signing the executive orders, cutting the ribbon, standing at midfield, will be a president who, at that exact same moment, is overseeing a military campaign in Iran, providing material support to a war in Gaza that international legal bodies have described using a very specific and very grave word, and running an immigration enforcement apparatus that human rights organizations are documenting in real time. Hold those two images next to each other. That is the thread we are pulling tonight, because here is the detail that doesn't add up. The United States, under the current administration, has simultaneously escalated military and diplomatic pressure against Iran to a degree not seen since 2003, maintained unconditional weapons transfers to Israel throughout an offensive in Gaza that has killed tens of thousands of civilians, and deployed ICE in sweeping domestic operations that federal judges in multiple circuits have questioned on constitutional grounds. The economy is contracting. Approval ratings are declining, and yet, in the middle of all of this, the Trump administration has placed the hosting of the 2026 FIFA World Cup at the center of its public messaging, not as a footnote, as a centerpiece. The White House communications team has used it in 17 separate press releases since January. 17. That is not a coincidence. That is a strategy, and it is one that FIFA has seen before, because FIFA invented it. To understand how we got here, you have to go back. Not to 2026, not even to 2015, when the Department of Justice indicted 14 FIFA officials in a federal corruption case that read like a Tom Clancy novel. You have to go back to 1934. That is the year FIFA awarded the World Cup to Benito Mussolini's Italy. The tournament was staged as a propaganda showcase. Italian players were pressured to perform the fascist salute before matches. The referee selections were, to put it diplomatically, influenced. FIFA's president at the time, Jules Rimet, attended the final as Mussolini's personal guest. He left with a medal. History left with a template. That template was used again in 1978 when FIFA awarded the World Cup to Argentina's military junta, a regime that had, in the 2 years prior, disappeared an estimated 30,000 people. Dissidents were tortured in detention facilities that sat, in some cases, within earshot of the stadiums being built for the tournament. The Dutch national team nearly boycotted. FIFA asked them not to make it political. The junta hosted the tournament, won the tournament. The draw for the final group stage has been credibly alleged to have been manipulated, and used the resulting euphoria to buy itself several more years of international legitimacy before it collapsed. The man who ran FIFA through all of this was João Havelange, a Brazilian sports administrator who transformed the organization from a small European football federation into a global commercial empire worth billions. He did it by selling broadcast rights, sponsorship packages, and, the evidence strongly suggests, tournament bids to whoever was paying. He was never criminally charged. He died at 100 in 2016, 4 months after the DOJ indictments made clear the organization he built had been corrupt from its foundations. Here's what we know about the bid that produced the 2026 World Cup. The United States, Canada, and Mexico were awarded the tournament in 2018. The same year that the DOJ's FIFA corruption case was producing guilty pleas and cooperating, witnesses at a remarkable clip. The rival bid was Morocco's. The vote was 134 to 65. By this point, FIFA had already paid out over $200 million in restitution under its compliance reforms. It had a new president, Gianni Infantino, who had campaigned on transparency and institutional reform. Infantino has since relocated to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where he holds a diplomatic passport issued by that government. A government that has used sports investments including a $9 billion sovereign wealth fund stake in LV Golf and a pending bid for the 2034 World Cup as a documented strategy for reframing its international image. Infantino attended Vladimir Putin's birthday in 2023. He has described his personal friendship with Mohammed bin Salman in public interviews. The reform era, it turns out, had a shelf life. Now place the Trump administration into this architecture. What you find is not a passive beneficiary of FIFA's hospitality. What you find is active co-construction. The administration has leveraged the World Cup in three distinct ways. First, as a domestic distraction, a patriotic, flag-draped spectacle timed to arrive in a midterm election cycle where the president's party faces structural disadvantages. Second, as an economic narrative. The White House has projected $40 billion in economic activity from the tournament, a figure that independent economists have described as optimistic to the point of fiction, but which has been repeated in press releases, speeches, and cable news appearances without qualification. Third, and most pointedly as an international legitimacy signal, the message, delivered through imagery and ceremony, that the world's great sporting nations are partners with this administration, that billions of fans tuning in are, in some implicit way, endorsing what is happening in Tehran, in Gaza, at the southern border. Here's the part that should concern all of us. This is not a new trick. What is new is the scale and the simultaneity. Previous administrations used sporting events for soft power. The 1984 Los Angeles Olympics, the 1996 Atlanta Games. These were exercises in national branding, but they were not deployed as active counter-programming to ongoing military operations, to active international legal proceedings, to a domestic enforcement campaign that is actively under litigation. The 2026 World Cup is being used not just to project strength. It is being used to produce noise, to give a besieged and contested administration a set of images, a set of crowds, a set of moments where the cameras point at a soccer ball instead of a courtroom, or a refugee camp, or a GDP chart trending in the wrong direction. FIFA, for its part, requires nothing more than what it has always required, that the host government not make it political, which is itself a political act. Choosing not to see is still a choice. Two questions remain open, and they are worth sitting with. The first, what becomes of the tournament's legacy if, by the summer of 2026, the military situation in Iran has escalated further, or if the proceedings at the International Court of Justice regarding Gaza have produced a formal ruling? Does FIFA have a mechanism, has it ever had a mechanism, to rescind a hosting agreement on human rights grounds? The record suggests it does not. The record suggests it has never seriously tried. The second question is quieter, but in some ways more unsettling. Who profits? Not metaphorically. Literally. The broadcast deals, the sponsorship contracts, the infrastructure spending. Follow the money long enough, and you will find it moving through the same channels it has always moved through, with the same lack of accountability, toward the same concentration of interests. That investigation is ongoing. The beautiful game has always had an ugly business. What changes is who gets to look away. Script: FIFA and Trump's sportswashing efforts. Dark side of the beautiful sport. Format: investigative long form, Rachel Maddow broadcast style, 2018-2020. Word count: 580.